What's up? What's up? Hi, everybody. How are y'all? Thank y'all for being here. Welcome to the very first A2H Podcast. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Welcome to my show. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. Part of me can't believe I'm actually doing this. I'm just I'm just grateful. I'm just thankful for those who are watching, for all those who will watch later. Thank you, and welcome to the premiere episode of the Aspire to Hire podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Reed. I am the owner of the podcast. Along with being your host, I am the executive director of Aspire to Hire Personal and Professional Development. That is the brand. Thank y'all so much for joining. I would like to go ahead and ask you to click like, share. Most importantly, what I want you to do is subscribe to this podcast. If you're watching this live on YouTube, thank you for going to the YouTube channel. If you are on LinkedIn or Facebook watching this, because I am broadcasting in those three places, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, please go to the YouTube page. Go to YouTube and search Aspire, the number 2, Hire, Higher. As you can see, this is the brand. Please search this on YouTube, Aspire to Hire, to find the YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button. And to go even further, I might suggest that you click that little bell so that when new episodes drop or when any videos from Aspire to Hire drop, you are notified. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. But there are many, many ways that you can subscribe and follow along to what Aspire to Hire is doing. And you'll learn all about those things through this episode tonight, but also following what's going on our social media and on the website. So, anywho, thank you for being here. And please, as you're watching, as you're joining, share it out with others. That is the only way that I can see that you are showing your support of this episode. I see I got a couple folks who are here. Please don't be shy. I would love for this show, for this podcast to be as interactive as possible. I do not plan in any episodes for it to be sort of this diatribe of me just sitting here speaking to you over camera. I can see your comments as they come in live. I'll be happy to respond. We can engage in really strong dialogue right here in this podcast together. Thanks, Summer Willow. Hey, boo. Hi, everybody. Hey, Fairy Talks. Thank you for joining. Continue to click share it out, and tell other people to join us as we're on here tonight. So again, as I mentioned, and many of you already know, this is the very first, it is the premiere episode of the Aspire to Hire podcast. Special shout out to to my coach. I have a coach because I am in a 100-day transformation challenge, if you will. So I want to give a huge shout out to my success coach, Miss I Am Summer Willow. You guys will learn all about that process, her ability to coach you through success, coach you through to success. Because what she's doing is coaching myself and a few other women through the challenges that we encounter in getting out our dreams, essentially. And so, as part of my 100-day transformation and the promises I made to myself, executing on this podcast that has been living in my brain is part of that process. So, hey, Summer Willow, thank you for all your work. Thank you for all your motivation. And thank you for everything. Y'all should check it out. I Am Summer Willow. She will get you through to success along with Kabad Consulting. Check that out as well. Hey, Erica. Thank you for joining. I'm just shouting out some folks I see in my comments. All right. So, first and foremost, if you have a libation or something to drink, I want you to drink with me in celebration to the launch of this podcast. If you don't, I'll give you a couple of minutes just to go ahead and get yourself something to drink. In the meantime, I would like for everyone to check out how to follow me in the future. If you do not already follow me, my Instagram is a little bit long, but there's a method to the madness. Please follow the Instagram at aspire to hire _ elements A2H, which you'll learn all about as you watch this episode, but also as you learn more about this particular brand. I also encourage everybody who's watching, if you're watching live or if you're watching the recording, after you watch this, go visit that website. It is aspire2hire.com. Check out the website. There are several new initiatives, programs, and resources there for your taking, but it will also give you a lot more insight into who I am, but also insight into what the company does. All right, so let's get into it. Before we do that, I'm going to take a sip because I have to celebrate the moment. Celebrate the moment with me. Thank you for being here and thank you for watching and supporting. Let's go. Let me see my comments. Yes, it's a celebration. It's a celebration. You got to celebrate the wins. And all wins are not large wins, right? But a win nonetheless. So cheers to that and cheers to Aspire to Hire. I want everybody to follow along with me, okay? This podcast is going to be a monthly podcast. But for the remainder of 2021, that is the rest of November and all of December, you will get 2 episodes of this podcast from me. So there will be 1 more episode in November, and then in December, you can look forward to 2 episodes. Once we hit 2022, at the top of the year, I'm going to move into this podcast being a monthly podcast. You will get 1 episode per month. That episode will either be live on the first Friday of the month, or it will be dropped or released on the first Friday of the month. You can find those dropped episodes on Anchor. You can find them on Spotify. You can find them on YouTube, on our YouTube channel as always. And you will be able to see them, of course, on the website in the future. So pay close attention and don't forget to subscribe. So 1 episode each month at the top of the year in 2022. But to get you acclimated to talking about the elements of success and understanding a lot deeper what the Aspire to Hire brand and movement is all about, I will be providing you with 3 more episodes this year. 1 more in the month of November and then 2 more in December. So please stay tuned for that. What I want you to know about these episodes is this. These episodes will be about 30 minutes in length, if even 30 minutes. I'm going to try my best to give you a good 25-minute episode. Each episode will be 4 parts. I'm going to break these into 4 segments. I'm always going to obviously intro myself, intro the brand, talk a little bit about the brand, but we are then going to dive into the elements of success. That is what's going to undergird this podcast. We're going to talk about living out and manifesting success using the elements of success, the elements A2H, which we will get into in just a few. The third part of the podcast, the third segment, will be myself with a special guest. Every episode, I will have a guest on with me. That guest will be someone who has either already embodied the elements of success. We have a personal or business connection where we have worked on the elements of success together. I maybe observed in their social media presence, in their careers, in their professional journey that they are already living out the elements of success. So I'm going to have those folks come on as guests to speak about how the elements of success have provided them with career resiliency, and how it helps them to really maintain a high level of career esteem so that they can live out the success that they desire. So that will be what you can expect from a conversation between myself and our guests each month on each episode. And then this is what y'all really going to get into. The fourth part, the fourth segment of each episode is going to be called the lightning round. I got to have a little bit of fun. I got to give people broccoli and cake, right? The broccoli is the nutrients that you need, and those nutrients are the elements of success. But then I got to give you a little piece of cake before we go, right? You got to have your dinner and your dessert. The cake is going to be the lightning round, and I'm going to be trying to have as much fun as possible with my guests. Lightning round means it's going to be a speedy, like quick response segment. In that last segment, I'm going to spit fire, ask my guests questions, and they're going to have to answer. I might even have a little buzzer and a timer to make it even more exciting and challenging. But those questions are going to be about the guests and their experiences, both their personal and their professional experiences. And I'm going to ask them, it's like a quick word association game. So you can expect each episode to end with a lightning round, and then we'll close out by, giving you an insight into what to expect in the next episode. So that will be what you can expect from these A2H podcast episodes. Please stay tuned to those. All right, so without further ado, for everyone who might be watching who is unfamiliar with who I am, now is the time where I will talk about who your guest is, who your host is, not your guest, but your host. So who am I? I happen to be the host of this A2H podcast. My name, for those who may not be aware, is Stephanie Reed. I am the founder of the Aspire to Hire movement and the executive director of the A2H brand. More than that, though, because clearly I'm much more than just the owner of a company and this person, a talking head on this podcast. But I'm a Philly girl in a North Carolina A2H world. I am a Philly girl, born and raised. But most recently, I am a Raleigh transplant. I have been in Raleigh now for about 4 years. So I don't know if you're still supposed to call yourself a transplant after year 2, but I still feel like a transplant. I'm still learning quite a bit about Raleigh, North Carolina. But Philly is always with me. So please don't be mistaken. And most people who come across me and who engage with me in the Carolinas, they still know that's a Philly chick right there. I am also, just to give you a little bit more insight into me, I am a proud alum of Johnson C. Smith University, which is an HBCU in Charlotte, North Carolina. This was my first entry, if you will, into the Carolinas when I came down here as a college student many years ago to attend Johnson C. Smith University. So that does make me a product of an HBCU. My experience at Johnson C. Smith was probably the best experience of my life, like hands down. And I've had some great experiences. But I think it's important for people who watch this podcast and people who follow me on IG or follow this podcast in general, that they know that I'm the product of an HBCU, because really much of my know-how, much of my grit, much of my resiliency, really a lot of my character was really shaped and formed at that HBCU. So I carry those things with me, and they really prepared me well for taking up space in the world. So I think it's important for people to understand and know that I am the proud product of an HBCU. And furthermore, just a little bit more about myself before we get into the brand. I am also a mom of three. It's last but certainly not least. I'm the mom of three. I'm a higher education administrator, which basically means I've worked in colleges and universities for a number of years. That is what I do by trade. It's what I chose to do for a living. And I also have subject matter expertise in both career development and diversity, inclusion, and equity. And so this is what drives me to create something like this. This is what I bring to this podcast. So each episode and the ways that I talk about Aspire to Hire are really, not based in my opinion. The things that I bring to this podcast and the way that I've developed Aspire to Hire as a brand are all based in real world work experience. And so when we come together on this podcast, we're going to be talking from those world experiences, but we're also going to be talking about facts and data and trends and what the research says. So I will have some things that we'll talk about that are based in fact. We're going to talk about our personal experiences as people coming up in our career trajectories, but we'll also be based in facts because I don't do alternative facts. I have to, really give validity to the Aspire to Hire brand by connecting it to my educational background. And so that's what we're going to do. But don't get me wrong. We are going to have a good time while doing it. We will not be talking about this stuff in any sort of humdrum ways. I'm going to be bringing guests on and really getting into the nooks and crannies of what it's like to try to live out your dreams, what it's like to try to define success for yourself. And so we're going to do that in some serious ways because the conversations can sometimes be a little serious. But I'm a fun-loving person at the end of the day. I love the work that I am doing. And so that's going to come across, I hope, as we are engaging in this podcast together. So look forward to us having a good time on this podcast. I think I saw a couple comments already. Yes, I'm glad y'all are excited. I see somebody talking about, listen, we have to come together in a celebratory fashion as much as we possibly can. We're gonna clap for the small wins, and we're gonna talk through the challenges so that we can overcome them. And we're gonna base those those conversations in the elements of success, which you'll hear me talk about in just a few more moments. Okay, so as to not bore you to death with a million new details, let's take a very quick break. And on the other side of that break, we will come back with segment 3 and 4, where we will really, really get into the nooks and crannies of the Aspire to Hire brand. We'll talk about the A2H movement. And then, of course, I will describe for you very quickly the elements of success. And then, of course, this is the premiere episode of this podcast. And so in this episode, I want you to get some idea of what the other episodes will be like. So in the meantime, in between time, I'll be right back. Told y'all I wouldn't be going long. I know that was a quick break, but welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for staying with me. Remember, hit that share button. Please like, but don't forget to subscribe. And because this is a live show, I really strongly encourage you. Ask me questions in the chat. Um, Engage in conversation with each other in the chat. I really want this to be a space where you feel like you can engage together. Okay, so now that we're back, as promised, I want to present to you and really talk you through the company. What is Aspire to Hire Personal and Professional Development? Some of you are familiar, others may not be. So I have to, with this being the premiere episode, I want to make sure that I'm speaking to all audiences and particularly people who may watch this after the live broadcast. So for a very quick overview, I like to break it down in as easy a way as possible by letting people know that the Aspire to Hire personal and professional development company can really be remembered by being broken down in three easy ways. So basically, like I think of the company in three categories. First and foremost, Aspire to Hire is a movement. I'll talk about what that movement is in just a few moments. Second, Aspire to Hire engages in community engagement, community programming, and special events. So the second part of A2H is community engagement, special events, and programming. And lastly, the third part of A2H is that Aspire to Hire is a consultancy. The third part of A2H is that we are a consultancy. What does that mean? Um, that means that we provide training, education, and consulting on topics that are connected to career decision making, career design, career development, workforce development, basically work issues. We provide consulting, training, and education on those things. We also provide training, education, and consulting to organizations on diversity, inclusion, and equity. So, those things that I mentioned to you earlier that are part of my wheelhouse, right? My subject matter expertise, we definitely provide training and consulting in those areas. So, those are the three ways for you to remember Aspire to Hire. The way you can break down A2H is in three categories: a movement, community engagement and programming, and consulting. All right. So remember those three things about Aspire to Hire, and you can't go wrong. But I want to give you some more information, right? So let's circle back to the top. What is the Aspire to Hire movement? Because everybody says like, "Oh, I'm starting a movement," um, and I guess I'm one of those everybody people. So let's circle back to the movement and talk about what that means. So with this movement, we Aspire to Hire. We seek to see people all over the United States who are living an A2H lifestyle. So let me break it all the way down. Clearly, Aspire to Hire personal and professional development is a pretty lengthy title, so I don't walk around saying it too often. You will hear me speak about this company by saying A2H this, A2H that, A2H, A2H. I say it all the time. I say it so much that my 6-year-old is like, "Yay, A2H. I want to work for A2H one day." And I'm like, what you don't know is that you're already on the payroll, buddy. He will. This is a family company. So I use A2H frequently instead of saying this whole long drawn out company name. So what we want to see is across the country, people living out an A2H lifestyle. The ultimate and overall goal of this company and the movement is to infiltrate society with the elements A2H, or what we call the elements of success. Yes, you heard me correctly. Our goal as a company is to infiltrate society with the elements of success, the elements A2H. You can see them down here over here somewhere. I'm not really good at pointing in the opposite direction. You see the brand there, right? The logo, the Elements A2H. We would love to see more and more people across the country who are embodying and living out the elements of success. We want to grow a movement of people who are utilizing the elements A2H, the elements of success, as an internal compass. And that internal compass is designed for them to define and develop their own success. Let me say that again. The elements A2H are to be used as an internal compass to help you define and then develop your own success. Let me get into that even a little further. The reason why Aspire to Hire was even created, I think the problem that we have seen in the world that we seek to contribute to solving is that um, a lot of people rely upon the public education system or the higher education system, the promise of higher education in America, right? People rely very heavily on that to give them the success, right? They think if I matriculate through this university and come out as an accountant, I'm going to have all the success in the world. Listen, y'all see my side eye? And I am an administrator in higher education. I have gone to school to learn the business of higher education. But with that, I have also had over 15 years of experience in that system. And I know that the system is not working quite well. It's actually not producing what it has promised. I think in America we have been socialized to expect that degree or the process of going through public education and into post-secondary and higher education will then all of a sudden produce this career that will have longevity and will give you wealth, and you will climb the corporate ladder. And yes, those things do happen, but they do not happen by happenstance. They also don't happen by just going to classes and getting a degree. Thus, I created the elements of success because over time in my career and in my reading and research, I have seen employers seeking certain characteristics and skill sets and qualities in people who are coming out of college and even graduate school. And a lot of time employers were saying, we don't see like where they at though. They did not see those characteristics in people who were coming out of college so quickly, right? And sometimes even seasoned professionals who have been out of school for a number of years, they too went through this system thinking this system was going to give them the key to success. But really, what we offer is that the key to success is already right here. It's right here. The key to defining, developing, and living your own success. Now, I'm telling you, is to aspire to higher elements of A2H. But at the end of the day, those things are inside you. And so that is why we are creating a movement of people where we want those folks to show up every day at work using their internal compass and the elements of success, the elements A2H, to help them contribute to the world in such a way that they're creating the success that they want to see. So that is the Aspire to Hire movement in a very quick, sort of oversimplified description. You will learn so much more about that through our guests coming on our show every single episode, because I'm going to engage in conversation with our guests about how they are using these elements of success, which basically are characteristics that they use in their career to define their own success. So what I want you to remember, what's the key takeaway here? The elements of success, when embodied or manifested or lived out, they then lead you to having what I call high career esteem, right? Everybody knows what self-esteem is, and everybody wants to have high self-esteem. Well, what we need to have also is high career esteem. And with that high career esteem, at some point, It will lead you to have career resiliency. And the career resiliency is really where the magic is. Because as we know, in the middle of this global pandemic, things are going to happen in the world that are going to have a deep impact on not only the economy, but the job market and the way that we function. And if you don't have an internal driver to keep you focused on where you're going, if you don't have a vision, you're going to be at the mercy of these economic shifts. And you may not know exactly where you're going. So this is the premise of both the Aspire to Hire company and the A2H movement. So I hope you find that helpful. At the end of the day, here's what I also want to get into. Let's move into um somebody just called me Vanna White. Come on, Vanna. Yes. I love it. So let's get into what are the elements of success. I will not be teaching them in this one episode because I did tell you guys my episodes will be short and sweet. This is not a class. But what you will find is that you'll learn about each of the elements of success in every single episode. Here's what I want you to know tonight. There are 9 elements of success. There are 9 elements of success. You can find those elements of success on our website. You can find them by going to the website and clicking on the downloadable, the free download that says the A2H Quick Guide. That's basically giving you a full description of all 9 elements of success and how we expect you to apply them in order to achieve career resiliency. So go to the website and find those elements of success for yourself. I might have a sample that I could show you, and no, I don't. I did not download them into the system. But off the top of my head, and for anyone who's watching who's not familiar, let me just tell you the very first element of success, because they are not in order of importance on the website or in any of the literature that you'll find from me. But what you will find is that every time I'm talking about the elements A2H, self-awareness is always the very first one. Self-awareness is one of the most important elements of success and is what I lead with. Then we get into passion, we get into wellness, both financial and physical and mental. We also talk about something called a tolerance for ambiguity. That's an element of success. Digital literacy is an element of success, and so on and so forth. There are many, many things, not many, 9 elements of success listed for you. So check those out. And what I really want you to do is come back to this podcast every episode to hear us really talk about them in real ways. Because I can sit here and give you examples and, I could write a white paper and tell you what the research says. But what I really need people to understand is, what does this look like in real life, right? What does it mean for me to have a high tolerance for ambiguity? What does it mean for me to be self-aware? And how is that going to get me where I want to go in life? So we're going to have those kinds of conversations on this podcast, and we're going to do it. Sometimes we're going to do it with our wine. Sometimes we're going to do it with our research, but we're going to get into how to embody the elements of success day to day. All right, I actually want to pause for a quick moment, not for another commercial break, but for me to see if there are any comments in the chat that I might have missed. Fairy Talks, you are lighting me up. Yes, I appreciate it. She said exactly. I see my coach Summer Willow telling me I am living the promise I made to myself. Oh, thank you, Summer Willow. With my sisters is how I'm doing it. My sisters and my family. So I appreciate that. I can't stop laughing at this comment that's telling me that my Vanna pointing is hilarious. Okay, please continue to comment in the chat, or if you have comments that you would like to share with each other or converse with each other, please don't hesitate. All right, so you have heard from me about the company Aspire to Hire. You have heard from me about who I am, what I bring to the company, what I bring to this podcast, and also a little bit about like sort of what has made me who I am, and how I came to even talk about these things. You've heard that. And you've also heard me describe very briefly both the company, the movement, and a little bit about the elements A2H. So, this is what I wanted to bring to you this evening. I did not want to belabor the point. I wanted to really just celebrate the launch of this podcast and introduce you to the elements of success. And so, the next thing I need to do is tell you really what's next. What are the next few episodes that you can expect and what to expect in each episode. So before that, I see another comment. It says, "This is certainly a message that emerging adult professionals should hear and activate through." Thank you. It strikes me to expose high school students to the elements of success. Yes. Thank you for saying that. I spent some time over this last summer, thanks to COVID and thanks to becoming a self employed person. I was privileged enough to be contracted through the city to teach the elements of success to several high school and college students. It was a mix of both high school and college students. They were interns in the city, um, and it was several high school students and a few college students. But I found in those sessions that we spent together, really talking about the elements A2H, that the high schoolers were intrigued. They were really into it. And one of the high schoolers, I was so surprised. She asked some very thoughtful questions, and one even challenged me to get a book out about the elements of success. She was like, "So, Miss Stephanie, do you have a book? Because basically, this sounds like you should have written this as a book so that more people can know about it." So, I am hearing that message. I receive it. And I do believe in the law of attraction. And so, at some point, it will manifest. That's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you for that comment, though. Yes, that was cool. I definitely, it was unexpected and I certainly appreciated it. Book on the way. Books, maybe. I don't know. All of us have so many stories and experiences to share. And so I'll do my best to, I think, bring what will resonate the best or maybe the most and connects with the Aspire to Hire vision and mission, which is to infiltrate society. Don't forget, I'm going to need all of you I can't infiltrate society by myself. I need people to engage in the movement so that we can then infiltrate society. And y'all know I'm very intentional with my language. So I have chosen the word infiltrate on purpose because of the fact that we are all, socialized to be robotic about pursuing education, getting this degree, get a job. Like, I'm hoping that with this infiltration, we can break that chain of like repetitive, just doing what college tells us to do. No, let's break that. And with a large group of people who follow this movement, we can infiltrate society with a different mindset, with people who think very differently about what work should look like and how they should show up at work, and have an internal driver. So I can go on and on for days about infiltration, but that's what this movement is about, to infiltrate with the elements A2H. Okay? All right, y'all. So, what you guys can expect next, my very next episode is called the A2H Formula. In that episode, you will hear from me, again, very briefly though, talking about the formula that I have come up with to further illustrate how the elements of success when embodied, can lead you to high career esteem and career resiliency. So I will demonstrate and talk about what the A2H formula is, but I will have a special guest who will come on the show with me to talk about her impression of the A2H formula. She will give her own insight into how the elements of success and how the characteristics that she has been carrying all her life really have helped her to define success for herself. And I'm going to wait so that she can share her story herself. It is not my story to tell, it is her story. But it is such a compelling story because what I really want people to understand is that this movement is not just for the college educated, right? To Summer's point, or was that Fairy Talks who told me to take this to high schoolers? There are middle schoolers who I have come across who are ready. Listen, my own children are very aware that the elements of success will lead you to being career resilient. So this movement is not just for college educated folks. We need to infiltrate all of society with the elements of success in order for this thing to work. And so my next guest on the second episode of this podcast, which will be called the A2H Formula, she will join me to talk about her story and how the A2H formula makes sense to her and how she defines success for herself. So that's what you can expect on the very next episode. I have a ton of episodes to come. The season won't be tremendously long. I have already told you, I promise you 2 episodes in December as well. And each episode will have a special guest. The episode after, basically the third episode, I think will be the one where it's called Flip the Script. And so what I'm going to be doing is flipping the script. And the special guest on that podcast episode will be interviewing me. So I will be in the hot seat. I'll have to go through the lightning round. It's going to be a good time. And so I hope that you all stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. In conclusion, I would just like to say again, thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for showing up tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. And I'm going to thank you in advance for sharing. You can still share this podcast episode even after this live broadcast concludes. So don't forget to like, share, and comment. Please, when you see these podcast episodes posted on social media, or you see other social media content from the Aspire to Higher brand, please comment with what your thoughts are around what we're sharing. I think we have some very intriguing, maybe even educational and quite insightful, like professional development content that we're putting out on a monthly basis. And so if you guys share it out, that is another small way that you can help me infiltrate society with the elements of success. So where are y'all going to be in a couple of weeks? Back here watching the A2H formula episode, which is coming up on November 26th. So go ahead and save the date, November 26th. It will not be a live broadcast because, as you know, that is Thanksgiving week. But like my girl Beyonce, we will have a captured audience. And so I'm going to release new material Thanksgiving week because, that's what we do. So November 26th, the next episode will be dropped. Please check it out. It's called the A2H Formula with my special guest. And after that, you can expect 2 more episodes in December. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all your support. Thank you for celebrating with me. Let's take another drink and let's all aspire to higher. Y'all be well. Take it easy. And I truly, truly appreciate everybody who showed up and came through tonight. Be blessed. Thank you.